So I'm going to be doing the first round of testing on this DSi XL WW450074859. Area's a little messy. So I'm pretty sure already ran the battery life on this 350. I may want to double check that. This one seemed to die a lot quicker. 350 doesn't make much sense to me. That's not important to right now. It was just when I was running the battery test, it seemed like it was dying a lot quicker than what 3 hours and 50 minutes would suggest. It looks like I replaced the digitizer. I can tell just by feeling it, it's got like a sticky texture to it. What that means is I'm not going to test the touchscreen because when I run my stylus across it, it's not very smooth. And that can sort of impact the results. So I'll do that after I install a screen protector, assuming all of their parts are fine. It is a new digitizer, I assume it works. So first, let me just turn it on and look at the screens. See if I... Wow, these screens match really well. Okay, I don't see any particulate under the screen or the digitizer, so I think I did a pretty good job there, and speakers do a good job. This hasn't been wiped, so I'll just do that real quick. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for not putting parental controls on. And then I'll just kind of go through my testing that I have on my assessment form, plus a couple others that I'm trying to implement to catch some new problems that appeared. And yeah, touchscreen's working well so far. I'm probably gonna... I don't think I calibrated it, so it might be a little off. Because I'm thinking about it, I'll do that right now. I got it the first time. I'm very confident that this touchscreen's fine. It's when you have to sort of redo that back and forth calibration, I see that tends to be a problem with the touchscreen, but since it did it the first time, I feel pretty confident. So I'm not going to test it too much because I don't want to... Not only is it difficult to slide a stylus across this style of digitizer, whatever material these third parties use, I also don't want to scratch it. It's brand new. So I'm going to wait until I put a screen protector on it. So I checked the motherboard and power board. Console turns on, enters apps. Next is tactile buttons. Those are going to be all the face buttons and the shoulder buttons. I'll grab my R4 card. R4 card has some test software on it that I can use. I can turn my light back on. Oh, happy birthday. Wow. Alright. Face buttons usually never have a problem unless there's, like, rampant water damage on the board. But basically what I'm doing is just pressing it at a sort of steady pulse and see if the lights match up with my pressing. Face buttons never have a problem. That includes start and select. D-pad can sometimes have issues. I'll just do the main cardinal directions. I don't really see a need to do the diagonal inputs because if the cardinal directions work, then it stands to reason that the diagonal inputs would have no problem. Now the shoulder buttons, on the other hand, tend to always be the problem children. R button seems to be good. L button seems to be good. I'm just going to spend a little extra time pressing them just to make sure that I'm getting the inputs I expect. Which I am. So I'm going to skip the touchscreen. So next is speakers and microphone. Speakers, microphone, and headphone jack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slot in an SD card. That might seem a little random, but it has a song loaded up on it that I'll use in DSi Sound. It also gives me a chance to test the SD card slot. So I already know the speakers work because they blare. I had them on during my battery test. Both the left and the right speaker work. I can see the waveform on the top screen as I talk, so that's a pretty good indicator that the microphone works. I also verify that the microphone works before I put this thing together because it's part of the top screen, and I don't want to put a faulty mic in a top screen because then I have to take the whole thing apart again. I don't want to do that. So, reads the SD card. There's the song right there. So what I'm going to do is grab a set of earbuds and just test the left and the right channel. Yep, works just fine. So that kind of kills two birds with one stone, because that also knocks out the SD card slot, as it wouldn't be able to play that song. Next is cameras. Another component I check because it goes into the top screen. Works just fine. Both cameras initialize and show a picture. It's not a great picture, but this is a DSi. Next is charge port. This is where it kind of gets a little more technical. Let me grab a couple things here. So I will be retesting the battery just to make sure that it's actually showing 3 hours and 50 minutes. I just had a rough feeling about this one when I was running it through the tester. And if it does fail, if it does reveal that it does fail, then I'll put in a different battery. That's not the end of the world. So I have a USB tester. Plug a USB to DSi, or whatever cable end this would be called. At first, just plug it in like I normally would. Battery's pulling. Solid orange light. I'm going to turn off my overhead. Then what I'll do is just jiggle around the charging cable. What's interesting is I can see I think the if this is the one I'm thinking of, the yellow light isn't supposed to be on. I'm guessing the little back plate for the LED diffuser didn't get reinstalled. This might be a console I was doing a test on, so I would have to double check, but I'll have to make sure that that back LED, like almost like an isolator piece, so it doesn't do that. It doesn't illuminate the yellow. I'm pretty sure that's not. Yeah, that yellow is not supposed to be on. But just to get what, that's a benign piece, so it shouldn't impact anything I'm doing. Rotating the charger, the orange light doesn't come off. That's checking for solder joints, essentially. And then I'm going to check the software indicator. So I'm going to plug it in again. Software indicator is saying it's charging. My USB tester is saying it's charging. Before I move on to the game slot, I am going to look to see if that little piece is in there. I thought I put it back. Because I remember on that console I was testing on, it did pop out, and I did remember to put it back. It's possible that when I put this console together, I don't think I would forget it, but it's not, to say it's not impossible is something. I'm only human, so making dummy mistakes like that isn't uncommon. No, it is there. That's interesting. I'm gonna look at it. Maybe I installed it upside down? Doesn't look like it. I don't know, I just don't remember being able to see the yellow light through there. It was just kind of struck me as odd. I think I need a sanity check. So here's another blue console. I'll just plug it in. Yeah. So I can't see that Wi-Fi light. That's what I thought. It is possible I just put in a faulty one that's like broken, and I didn't even realize it. It's in there, it doesn't look wrong. It's really strange. It looks just fine to me. I put everything in right. Huh. Let me check something. Maybe this is just how DSIs sit in sleep mode and I just didn't realize it. Oh, okay. So when I put it in sleep, the Wi-Fi light dims. Okay, yeah, I was chasing a non-issue. I think it was because I was thinking about how I did forget that little piece on another console I was doing troubleshooting on. I remember putting it back, but I don't know, I just had it in my mind that I also forgot it on this one for some reason. Not a biggie. I just thought, I didn't think that Wi-Fi light just dimmed like that. It almost looked like it was just bleeding over. But the color wouldn't make sense. Oh well, better safe than sorry. How about that? Doesn't have to make complete sense as long as my gut is happy with the results. So since I have no other problems with the internals, I'm just going to close this all the way back up. Battery looks fine. All I remember is the red light turned on very quickly, telling me the battery was low. It's possible that whatever circuit controls what turns on that red light has a faulty component and it just turns on prematurely? I don't know. I wouldn't know enough. If it is actually surviving for 3 hours and 50 minutes, then I'll just have to double check it. I'm all complete guessing. So let's move on to the... Hello? Possible the main power connector just popped out a little and I didn't really see it. I wasn't tugging on that power board that hard. Yeah? Huh. Well, I didn't even think of checking those again. Well, taking it apart's no big deal. I'm just gonna pop it off and pop it back on. It's seated in there pretty good. Did I blow a fuse? No? Well, this is most unusual. Console's telling me it's charging. Let me verify that with my USB tester. Because if it's pulling voltage, that means it's charging the battery. That would imply that... It is. Okay, so... It's a power button issue. That's weird. Let me check the ribbon cable then. I didn't yank it out. Looks fine. I'll just take it out and put it back in, I suppose. May have come disconnected from the power board a little, maybe? The battery's charging, which... Oh, that's very interesting. Well, let me check the underside of this power board to make sure. I wonder if this was the one I did my battery or my power testing on. I thought I distinctly remember this screw post being stripped, though. Let me lay that to rest. I posted that video with a shell serial number on it, so I'll know exactly if it is the right one. Where's my rear shell? Oh, here it is. No, it's a different one. That's what I thought. Wow, I'm getting my too many blue consoles, one after another. They all meld together. Wait a second. What the heck? Get that out. What's going on with... Oh, I'll do it. So I don't think this is going to show up. Corrosion on this ribbon cable. I'm looking at these test points on this fuse and there's like gunk on them. I'll see if I can clean them off. It might just be as easy as that. I think one of these traces is gone, which would explain the power button. I'm guessing, like, when I had the console together and I didn't touch it, it just made enough contact to work, and then when I bent it back, that's when it gave way. Let me look under a microscope. I'll see if this is repairable reasonably. If not, I'll just grab a new power board. It's not the end of the world, but if it's as simple as bridging a tiny break, I can do that with a little bit of solder. Let me... Oh, there it goes. Yeah, that's rough. Wow. Tell all the different colors. Let me just see how much of this is gone. Is it both of these pins that are just completely eroded away? No, this one looks fine. It's just caked in crap. Actually, they all might be fine. Let me grab a fiberglass pen. I don't think I'll be able to do this while underneath the microscope, just for the angle I need to get. Yeah. Does kind of look better depending on your lighting. Let me get this put away real quick. And get some rubbing alcohol on it. Yeah, that already looks a lot better. Looks like all the contacts are intact. That would make sense because it did work. This angle though, but all of the points are still there. It's eaten away from right there. And right there. Well, I'm gonna grab a new cable. I think that's just the sensible thing to do. And that's what I will at least do with this, but I do kind of want to see if that worked. I'll probably get a new power board, actually. A lot of these solder joints, like, it looks fine for the most part. It's just a lot of these solder joints are just gummed up. But it doesn't look like it's been water damaged at all. I really don't know how to, like, put it in the words. So just as to see if that's all it really took. No. Well, now I don't like going on tangents on these test videos, but I kind of have to know. Is it one of those lines are actually broken? This is a lot more difficult than I think I'm letting it be. This one, which is the third pin over, fine. This one is the last fat pin. Well, the ones that show sign of corrosion are fine. Let's look at it under the microscope again. Is it possible to trace further up? Maybe that pin sort of near the center that's like starting to get eaten away. This one, maybe it's just completely gone. There's also this one that has like a corner eaten away out of it. Doesn't look like it's having any problems further up. And this side's fine. As far as I can tell. So what pin is that? Long pin, third from the right. Let's see if I can probe it. It's gonna be kind of hard. One, two, three. Huh. Just going across every pad right now. Ribbon connector passes. Well, it's possible it's in the connector, because that's where the corrosion came from. Some dark pins. It doesn't look that bad. I'll get some rubbing alcohol and a brush and just kind of brush it out the best I can. Hopefully that's a little better. So what I can do is test the power button itself. It looks fine, but just like I was saying, those test points are black. And like around the fuse is just a little strange. Could reflow. The test points are benign. They shouldn't have any impact. But I'll test the button itself. The button itself works. So where that looks like ground. Check for ground. Where is a good ground spot? Just this via. Ground, ground. Input, maybe ground again? No, both of those would be inputs, so I'm guessing the trace just goes across. Goes up to somewhere. Let me check just this one right here. So that point right there, which is where would that point resemble on the ribbon cable? Maybe the outer one. One of the outer ones on this edge. So since it folds over already, that kind of makes my job easier. So the power button goes to the one of these ones on the left-hand side. Still getting continuity. Multitask with my left hand. But I'm getting nothing. So it's not making it to the pin. Let me try and get the pin under the connector. So it's not going up to the ribbon cable. If I had to guess, it was either this thick one right here or this thin one up here. What if I'm going to insert the ribbon cable backwards? Basically just putting the corroded end. Which, if that were the case, I think it might be this fat one. What's weird is I got continuity through the ribbon cable, but when I have it in the connector, maybe it just doesn't, it maybe crimps on this black part. It doesn't necessarily look black depending on the angle. So I'm suspecting it to be this pin. Nothing. It's this outer pin. So it's not grabbing it. Let me flip it again. I'm pretty sure I ran my probe across that first pin, because I suspected it to be one of those two pins. Yeah, I'm getting nothing. So something about that corroded end just sticking in just isn't making good contact. So if it's the pin farthest to the right. Oh, looks fine in there. It's a little hard to tell. Try and see if I can like scrape it in there. Hit it with my brush again. It looks good in there. Like, I know it was corroded, obviously. It ate away some of those pins, or mostly just sort of the finish of those pins. Okay. Let's try this again. Okay, got it. The corroded end in place. Grab the ribbon cable, got a probe on my... Huh. I wonder if like the solder joint broke? Let me look at it. Ooh, it does not look that good under there, but... be wild to kind of assume that that joint broke. Well, I can test if the joint broke, because I can just touch the top of the pin. Should be this one right here. Yeah, the joint's not broken, because I wouldn't be able to get continuity up to the pin. So, yeah, it looks fine. It's just something, let me just try and just clean this ribbon cable a little better. What's interesting is the one I would suspect looks fine. It might be, but it's a little bent. Try just like bending it up a little. Okay. Oh, maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm very stupid. It's not that right pin. Or it's not the left pin, it's the right pin. Wow. Embarrassing. Is it? Hang on. Let me track this. So it's this one right here. It goes all the way down to right here. And then I flip it over. Oh no, okay, I was right the first time. Okay, I'm not that stupid. Yeah, that's interesting. Let me just check continuity on the ribbon cable again. I did check all the points and they all did fine. Something about this corroded end just isn't grabbing that point. The far left point. The corroded end. Okay, I think I'm on there pretty good. That's interesting. Yeah, that's really strange. I'm getting continuity through the whole thing. So it's not a break in the line. I'm guessing it's just not crimping it that hard for some reason. Let's try and hand bend it a little. See if that does anything. I don't think I've ever seen it where it just like a little bend keeps one pin from contacting. Okay, I'm on there pretty good. Still nothing. Huh. I really don't know what to say about that. I would maybe try Try and get it so it makes better contact. Maybe it's not in all the way? That's as far as it goes. Ah, that's what. Meter turned off. It timed out. I'm glad it does it when I don't pay attention, but. Huh. Okay, well, I don't really have an answer. I'm just gonna put this in my junk pile for now and just grab a different board. I'm very perplexed as to why it's not going through, but I don't think there's really... There's nothing really that I would gain meaningfully from this other than just like, oh, corrosion bad. And to think, it was just that one corroded trace, or that one corroded connector that turned that entire console into a paperweight. Alright, so different power board. Cosmetically looks fine. I'll have to do the charging testing and tactile button testing again. New D-pad, obviously. It's alive. The console power's on, so I'm not too worried about the charger board. But I will just plug it in real quick, because it's not going to impact the behavior of the actual charge port, because the charge port's on the motherboard. Yeah, turns on. If there is an issue with the charging circuit for the power board, the console would probably not turn on. And I say would probably because I can't quite say I fully understand the charging circuit. All I know is that it grounds on the power board through that ribbon cable. It is pulling, so yeah, all that's good. Just gonna check the D-pad again. Or not the D-pad, it would be the D-pad. Never mind. Yep, all cardinal inputs are good. So that's a good power board. Did the camera, did the charge port, so now I'm on the game card slot. I am gonna put this console back together. I didn't need to take the battery out, but force a habit. That does not go there, that goes here. Doesn't really matter. There are 4 silver and 2 black screws. They're all the same length. The silver screws usually go under the feet, just to hide them. And then the black screws go on to these 2 screw posts flanking the game card slot. Just because if they're black, they're a little more hidden than they would be if they were silver. So the 2 long screws that flank the game card slot and the little tiny screw that goes inside the game card slot are all black. Now, are you going to power on this time? Yes, you will. Game card slot. So what that will mean is I'll take this little pile of shovelware games I have next to me, and I'll start with SpongeBob. I'll slot it in normally. Ooh, it doesn't show up. I'll push it in. Shows up. It ejected. I'll put it in again. Okay, so that is pretty symptomatic of a dirty game card slot. Just checking the pins. All the pins look good. I usually do check those motherboards before I put them in, so what I want to do is clean it, which means I will have to let this console sit for a little bit, but what I can do is at least give it a good once over. So I put rubbing alcohol on the pins of a game card, and then just eject it, take it in and out of the console several times to try and clean it. I wouldn't recommend doing this on a game card that you like. I don't think it really harms the game card itself, none of the electronics. You are needlessly putting friction on the pins. And you could also damage the label, I suppose. I did try making a Frankenstein's monster where it's just a game card that just has a paper towel in it. but I don't think I really got much far with this project. I'd almost have to 3D print one and like put a thing, paper towel or maybe really fine sandpaper in it. Okay. That's 91%. It should evaporate pretty quickly. I'm just air puffing the game card slot just to really dry it out. So I'm not going to use Go Diego Go, but what I will do is put SpongeBob back in. Reads just fine. Now, because I just recently cleaned it, I've noticed that even if they're dry, quote unquote, it can sometimes take a little while for it to completely dry. And then once it's completely dry, if it's really bad, it'll just revert back to what it was doing before. So I'm just going to forego the game card slot until I do test 2. Let me just put that. So that will pretty much fail test 1. What I'm going to do is what I'm sort of workshopping as an image retention test, where I've had some displays that will retain an image. How it works exactly on an LCD, I have no idea. Like, it is a little beyond my understanding of LCD technology. But sort of the crude test suite that I've come up with detecting that is holding it on the DSi sounds menu for just about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then switching over to the settings menu. And if there are any imprints of the checkered backgrounds in the settings menu, then that is a surefire sign of image retention, means that I believe the display is starting to die. Or at least it has an unfavorable fault in it. Yeah, it's been about 2 minutes, I think. I don't know, I wasn't really keeping track. Long enough. I don't see anything too concerning. No, another phenomenon I just kind of notice is when you do the soft resets, you will see, like, you can see the imprint of the DSi sounds menu, especially on the bottom screen. I don't think that's a problem. I've tested that on a bunch of consoles, and it all varies to different degrees. Like, you can really kind of make it out right there on the left-hand side. I don't think that's not exactly the sort of print I'm looking for. Like, when it's a retained image, it's very clear. I think it's okay for what it is. So the last test I'll perform is sort of unceremoniously called the sleep test. I'm having a console being returned to me by a buyer who had their console just sort of kick in and out of sleep, just sort of sitting on a desk, which I didn't even know was such a thing could happen, since the sleep is controlled by magnets in the speaker and a component right below the A button. I suppose that component could go bad. So what I've been kind of doing is trying to get a rough estimate of how far the lid needs to open before the console comes out of sleep, and I do that with a set of calipers. So I'll start from a rather closed position and just kind of off screen. I have my calipers right there. I'll open up my calipers just slow and steady, pushing up on the little rubber stopper for the top screen, and okay, there, turned on. So I'm gonna go back till it turns off, and then I'll open it very slowly until it turns back on again. There. 23 millimeters, which of the just random testing I've done between consoles that I have lying around, it was anywhere from 16 to 23 millimeters. So I don't really have a problem with this. Other than the game card slot, which it read Mario Kart just fine, I'm just gonna have to check that on another day when this game card slot can very thoroughly dry out. So for all intents and purposes, it does technically fail test 1 because of the game card slot. Everything else was fine. Technically, last thing on my list is the Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi is almost never a problem. So that's something I test on my phone, which I'm using as my camera. Basically, if it connects to its hotspot, then that's good enough. So I'll put this in another round of testing. I'm trying to implement 3 rounds of testing, so I'll do another round of testing on this, hopefully see if the game card slot's good after that round of cleaning. If it's not, I'll look into it a little further if I need to bend pins up or clean it a little more violently, I suppose you could say. So that is good enough for that DSi.